Again, thank you for having me today on this session, and it's pleasant that we are all here and can, join in and have this meeting. It is more strategic for me. Ms. Ndifreke, can you hear me, please? I can't hear you, Ms. Ndifreke. Can you hear me?
Mmanti, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So it's pleasant that we're having this meeting, and it is strategic that as young people or as youth, that we sit together and review not just what our options are as young people, but we also review what the options will be for stakeholders, and will also what the opportunities that will be provided by the open markets for us post-COVID-19. It's also essential that not just young people, I know that we will have stakeholders, organizational leaders in this forums today, and it is good that we also hear from them. So at the end of this session, I'm expecting to hear questions that range from what exactly do we do to include more young people in our agenda, in our budgets. Someone says they can't hear me at all. Hello, Mayene, can you hear me now?
Mmanti, I can hear you. I think if the person is not hearing you, maybe he has to do something
His
from
microphone.
his own end.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, just basically saying, Shelter Africa, sorry. Just basically saying that it is necessary that as young people, as organizations that will hire young people, as
we'll like your video. Sorry.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm actually on the move, just leaving a meeting and then heading towards another.
I'm aware.
But then that's fine. Okay, so it's important that we come back to the table, not just as young people, as stakeholders that will work with young people, as organizations that will either empower, develop, or create feedback mechanisms for international, local, and even community organizations that will develop young people. We must critically analyze what the needs, the challenges of this time are, and what the results are that we seek to have, so to speak. So today I've been asked to speak about how we can reposition ourselves as young people, and also repositioning young people as organizational leaders post-COVID-19. And that's why I'm here. So again, I say thank you to the leadership of the Bridge Leadership Foundation for deeming me fit to share a bit of my knowledge. No knowledge is total. So on this call, I'll also be listening to hear what your own view is to how, as Nigerian youth, as African youth, can we strategically place and position ourselves to be able to lead post-COVID-19. I'll start by talking about what the basic needs of a young person are. What are the basic needs of a young person? We seek employment, we seek food, we seek funds, finance, whether it is to pay our basic bills or it is to earn a future that we all desire. Those are very basic needs. But under these needs, we have healthcare, we have economic development, because when the society is tense, it either provide development or growth as young people. But then also is the fact that if the economy isn't balanced, it affects even the resultant effects of implementing even our state's local or national budgets or even international budgets. So you will hear a couple of people saying right now that the funding sustainably either grow youth development or even create jobs is no longer as available as it were. You will also hear some people also complaining that, we used to get international organizations either send development fund, send rescue funds and other things. But those are the funds that aren't accessible at the time. Why is this happening? This admit it. We have a recession that is playing up. If you have checked the economic there's an economic development manual that the World Bank shares. If you cohesively read what our statistics and our numbers are, we're dealing with a recession that is worse than the recession that we had and had built into. So nobody planned for COVID-19. COVID-19 came. As much as we want to fight the World Health Organization and the international organizations or China and that, nobody planned for the pandemic that we are in. So we walked ourselves into a recession without being prepared for the recession. So people didn't save, people didn't plan ahead of time. Students were in school, teachers have lost their jobs, lots of parents have lost their income. Even the faith-based organizations that could gather people together and even agree in faith that they could beat the pandemic are no longer functional. So everything took everybody off guard. And when that happens, there was basically no room to prepare for disaster. So we're here now, in the middle of demanding economy, complain that schools haven't opened, complain that there are no jobs, complain that people are firing people, or we can take advantage of the moment. How do we take advantage of the moment? First, I think that as young people and as stakeholders, we need to understand right now what everybody is trying to sustainably keep is the priorities. What are the priorities? What are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are priority to you? What are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are priority to your organization? What are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are priority to economic development? So, in educating yourself, what kind of education do you need right now? If you learn petrochemical engineering, it's a very amazing course. But right now, petrochemical engineering will not help that we have. To be relevant in today's economy, the first question you need to ask yourself is, what do people need? If you provide a solution for basic needs, then you become relevant in the economy or the society. So, 1, repositioning yourself, whether as a person that is going to create jobs or a person that is going to get the job, is to ask, what are people looking for? What are people looking for? Educate yourself. Now, everybody is working virtually. How do you provide virtual assistance? There are billions of children that are not in school. How exactly are your smartphones? How exactly are your educational facilities? How exactly are your companies going to bridge the gap between technology and the need of the day? Many parents will not have the ability to homeschool their children because of proximity, because of lockdown, and because of the enabling or disabling effects of COVID-19. You may not be able to access those parents. But then you can provide a learning structure that bridges the gap between what the parents need, which is education, and then what it is that you have. And that way you get paid, because online transactions are still going to go on. So they're going to pay you for a service that is not something that you need to provide by being physically present. You can manage your time, you can receive your fundings, and then you can also deliver the service. So if you're thinking of getting a petrochemical job right now with Shell won't hire you. But let me tell you something. If people charge 20,000 naira, if the basic charge for homeschooling is 20,000 naira for 3 hours a week, 3 hours a week, think of how much money you will be pulling out of bank accounts of people by the efficacy you pass across to the person that has a need in a month. These are monies that we are sitting on as young people and we're not assessing. If you provide or a high-end service to provide post-COVID-19, then that is not the way you're going to come out of this pandemic. What you need is to look for an idea, to seek ideas that help you pick the basis, provide solutions to the basic needs of the people, and in turn get fundings from them. That is how your savings will be for. Number two, as a stakeholder, you're providing a service. The same way high-end services are not going for the citizens is the same way high-end services are not even going to go create jobs or employment for you. You're trying to cut down on your employment numbers. You're trying to cut down the people you pay salaries. Why don't you do virtual jobs? Why don't you spread your work, get more income for your company, for your foundation, for your organization, in while exchanging a service opportunity for people that are already in service? So the first thing is educate, understand what the need is. And number two, I would say engage. So those large-scale publicly funded youth programs will right now not be in existence. They will be in existence, but the depression and the depreciation of the economy would have hit them. So lots of online universities internationally have made their courses accessible at 0 naira. Yes, I know you want to earn those certificates. This is an opportunity for you to engage with as much resource as you want to. Two things you will have right now. There will be lots of resources that were very high-end and expensive when there was funding of the economy that will be at next to 0 naira right now. This is your opportunity as a young person, as a stakeholder working with young people, as a community that hopes to work with or hire young people to bridge the gap and to make good of this opportunity. So you can take that opportunity and bridge in, engage with whatever these services are. Failure to create pathways for young adults and build their lives is a failure for you to build your organization. Now, every adult that has a family, that has children, is thinking of how to take care of the second and the third generation. So there won't be many adults that will be running after job owners as there will be young people. So young people will also be the ones to suffer this most because they will need jobs, they will need opportunities, they will be at home, they cannot be dependent. Sometimes because of their age, you're expected to be able to take calculative decisions for yourself. And so if you don't engage with the right thing, with the right opportunities, you will not be able to succeed post-COVID. Number three is employ. So while employment programs are an appropriate emergency response to engage youth, build skills, and stabilize communities, they do not replace the need for dynamic private sector that fosters innovation and creates jobs that sustain stability and prosperity. So everybody is trying to say, attend a seminar, attend a conference, let us teach you one new thing. Oh, come on, this thing. As much as that is good, it is not sustainable because there's no funding in the economy that will benefit for sustainable growth or whatever more right now. New is not what anybody is looking for. New, as much as new is amazing, exciting, new must be a new that is sustainable. So you need to look for ways to re-engage them. What do they already have? How can you develop what they have to be able to bridge the gap between what it is that they have and what it is you want to provide for them? Employment for young people right now needs to be something we must think about, because the backsides of not employing young people is the fact that we're going to not only lose economic strength and power when we come back post-COVID-19, it is that we're even going to lose our economy as people. When the rates of crime goes high, people are not going to want to do business with our community. When the rate of crime goes high, people are not going to trust us with business. Comfortably taking Nigeria out of the list of people they want to do business with. And then the rate of crime rises when the people are not able to have staying or earning power, which means at a certain point in time, even your your most treasured hideouts will be broken. I don't know if you have experienced people are no longer boggling for the sake of carrying major commodity like laptops, phones, or during the COVID-19, sorry, people were not boggling to carry laptops, phones, they were boggling provision shops and all of that, right? Now we moved post COVID-19. People have gone back to stealing. Now listen, the psychology of the person that steals post COVID-19 is not because the person wants to take away from you. It is because the person is looking for the basic means to survive. So whatever, they will pick your MacBook that is worth 300, 400, 500,000 naira and go and sell it for 10,000 naira because they need an immediate provision of resource. So that also applies to organizations that want to hire young people. What are the basic needs that what are the basic opportunities that you can create for the young person to earn? Because when they do not earn, they are not actively going to be engaging with your service. They are not going to actively engage with your company. They are not going to actively engage with you or provide the services you want. Right now, the most sustainable thing young people, not even just young people, organizations are also looking at is how to diversify their service provision. So if we used to use FedEx and we used to use DHL, what other means can we make our services delivered at such a short period of time without such overhead costs, which ultimately also means that lots of young people will not have jobs. And in not having jobs, it means that there's going to be youth restiveness. The youth restiveness that they have fought over the years is going to become a mainstay. How do we change that? How do we change that status quo? By creating employability for ourselves as people that makes people pay us per time, that makes people pay us in hours, that makes people pay us in minutes, that makes people fund our economy, whatever it is. If what we gain from in the economy is technology, we take technology and we provide it for the end users and the people that need technology in such a way that they are happy to assess what it is, they are receptive of what it is, and they can create the changes they need with what it is. How do you do that? At the level of government and of policy makers, today we had a meeting, and I don't know how many of you that come from the different states in Nigeria and around Africa have taken out time to ask, what is a citizen's budget? What are the budgets that the government have? In this budget, what is the plan? Where is my place in this budget? If the government's need this year is to provide for education, are you asking questions like, what kind of education, what proposals can I provide for the government that ensures that the government can assess my proposal, use it to fund their budget or fund it from their budget, and I make money for myself? What service am I going to provide? What educational service? So I took education as an example because that's my field of priority. What management service? What educational service can I provide? What agricultural produce is being sold in the market? So right now, you see, people do cash crops and people do basic food crops. And then there will be a lot of people, if you go to plant cocoa right now, do you think that cocoa is in need of the people? As much as cocoa is an export product, but how exactly are you going to export when the borders are majorly closed? Do you realize that the cost of exportation right now, when you're trying to export using the dark sea routes, breaks you more than half into the profits you would have made exporting rightly? So why would any sane person do that? But you know that the number of times people stay at home, the longer people stay at home, the longer people stay in a particular position, they are going to keep eating. Why ever finishings? What is wrong with maize? What is wrong with plantain? People will always eat. How can you convert your lands? How can you rent lands to produce? So when you say there are no jobs, the question is, what kind of job are you looking for? When you say there are no opportunities, the question is, what kind of opportunity are you looking for? Not everybody is going to be a farmer. Not everybody is going to be a trader. But listen, there is nothing derogatory about doing farming, and there are different ways you can provide farming services. What happened to processing the farming produce? There are lots of farmers that have no clue whatsoever how to process and finish their goods and send to the market. If you become the iron vendor that takes their products and helps them process it, or you become that person that takes the processed products and brands it for the market sales, you make your money off your branding, you make your money off the sales. There are so many. So we need to start looking at the problem and not just looking at the problem as a whole problem. You need to break it down into smaller units. If I am in this environment and we're in a lockdown, what exactly can I do? Everybody in this environment is going to eat. Everybody in my neighborhood wants breakfast. Everybody in my neighborhood wants lunch. Everybody in my neighborhood is going to have dinner. What are the basic things they will need? I can sell eggs. I can supply them with chicken. What can you do? And so you find a poultry that supplies you and you break it into smaller bits and you supply to them. What are the basic needs of the Bridge Leadership Foundation? Or they're going to want to send out memos. They're going to want to send out publications. They're going to want a designer. They're going to want somebody that markets their programs. What service can I provide at the comfort or my zone that is needed by the other person that can yield me money? So everybody wants to do the thing. Now everybody is selling nose masks. If you had said to anybody that nose masks will be accessible everywhere, nobody would have believed it. But let me also show you what the problem is. You see people holding on to the nose masks that you want to use all through the, to prevent COVID-19. And everybody is trying it out. When they try it out, they say, no, I don't like this one. They drop it. They try it out. What happened to us having a warm stop? What is a warm stop? It is you just having something that's like a hot pot on coal that brings out a bit of heat and warms the nose mask. Do you know that people will pay premium for that? What exactly have you done? You're still selling nose masks. It's just presentation that is a different thing. What happened with you taking a basic document that Mmanti or Mmanti or Victor Yang or Wills or whoever writes, and taking it and designing it into a publication that people will want to read and read again and people will pay for? What happened to data? How are we using our data? Some of us buy data and we just burn it. Meanwhile, there are other people that are using this data, like I started with saying, to homeschool other people's kids. So let us take a little break and ask ourselves, everybody on this call can speak English, can't we? Can we all speak English? If you can
Yes, we
speak
can.
English, just raise your hand
I
on
think we
the
can.
call.
We all can speak it. Yeah.
We can all speak English, right? Okay, good. Do you realize that there are students in their houses right now that need English teachers? So why are you not teaching English? It's English that you know, because you're not a teacher. So we have programmed our minds to say, I'm a pharmacist. Who is a pharmacist? A pharmacist is someone that went to school to learn pharmacy. Before you learned pharmacy, what were you? You were a human being that had skills, had potential, had ability, had social constructs, had something to give to his or how exactly is that function coming through with who you have decided to be. All of us here can type using our phones. What happened to typing documents? What happened to creating proposals? Now everybody wants to pay for something. What is the service that you have to provide that they can pay for? Because there is no box, there is absolutely no box. So I'm not going to say to you on this call to think as if there is a box. There is no box. Think as if there is nothing. And then when there is nothing, The next thing you want to do is to see how it is that you can make something out of nothing. Stakeholders, organizations will only hire people. You see that thing that we're saying when we're saying the 21st century skills, and organizations were decrying 21st century skills, and they were talking about skills for the future, and everybody was saying, the World Economic Forum is saying, listen, this is that time. That time we're being prepared for. People will use artificial intelligence in their restaurants. Human beings need to actively think of how they can be relevant. And until human beings begin to think of how they can be relevant, they will be irrelevant. Whether you're in Africa, you're in Europe, you're in Asia, wherever it is that you are, your relevance is dependent on what it is that you can support a deficient economy with and grow it back. People will only hire people that are solution providers. The question is, are you a solution provider? Organizations will create documentation, will create openings, will create entries for people that are innovative and creative thinkers that will be solution providers. The question is, does anybody that needs an innovative implementation officer or manager, will they hire any of you on this call? Will they hire me? You're sitting at home. What happened to your LinkedIn? Most of us do not even have LinkedIn profiles. And we're all professionals and we want opportunities. People are no longer home hunting. They're hunting you on your social media. They're hunting you on the way you speak. They're hunting you on the comments that you write. They're hunting you down on even the basic WhatsApp status, your WhatsApp status the person puts up. Organizations are job hunting in diverse forms that we did not even envision 10, 20 years ago. Nobody is waiting for recommendations. People are looking for people on their feet, which means that if you meet a criteria of need, they expect you to meet other needs that are around the criteria or the job description they ask you for. And their failure to do that makes you extinct in today and tomorrow's economy. So are we relevant? Are we ready? Is the question. Will organizations have opportunities for young people? Yes. Will policies bend for young people? They may and may not. But until young people realize what the power they have by the numbers we have, and that is not just saying, you know, you go out and you wear t-shirts and you vote. No, that's not where our power lies. When we're not, we don't just become followers, but we improve the conversation. We don't make noise. We improve the content of the conversation. You don't just ask for 10%. You don't just ask for employment opportunity. How many of us have gone into the Constitution and pulled up a constitutional analysis that allows for them to hire young people post or before COVID-19 and have applied it to conversations that we have with our policy implementers, our stakeholders, governance, people in governance, or basically even our government? How many of you have attempted to put down your signatures together as a group or as a team to ask for a policy to be reviewed or re-implemented for your own good or for your favor? So post-COVID-19, look across the nations. Let me take a clear example, what teenagers did in the US. Teenagers on TikTok, they've never met themselves, they came together and they signed out Donald Trump's event. There were 4 million seats. They signed out and only 6,002 people arrived at that event, 4,000 seats, sorry. They completely registered for that event. That is how to make a statement. You mustn't physically appear, but with what you have, what changes can you increase? So I'll pause at this time and ask if there are any questions. Let me take, and then we see how we broker, how we can attend to your needs as an organizational leader, also as a young person that wants to create change or wants to be included in the results of whatever change and policies you want to bring. I'll pause and take questions now.
Okay, Mmanti, thank you very much for that session, for that introduction. It's actually a very, very robust one. I hear you, and seriously, everything you've actually touched on they are so germane to us and so basic, yet we still find ways of grumbling with them, trying to understand them. And truly speaking, it was only last week it dawned on me how unaware and how unprepared, even though COVID-19 has been with us for, at least in this part of the world, for say since February, which is close to about 4 months now, I think, and a lot of young people, whether educated or not, are still yet to grapple with the realities that they find themselves in. It's like they don't know how these has impacted the opportunities. They think is a malaria fever that they're having that will be over after 3 days, and then they will return back to their life as before. And I hear conversations like that, and I'm wondering, are they actually aware? And my question is, my question is, which I would want you to throw a little light to, is, from your own interaction as a professional and within the spaces and sectors that you work in, number one, what do you think is responsible for this huge level of unawareness or refusal to come to terms with reality on the sides of young people, and a large member of the community? That's one. Then two, even for those of them that are trying to come to terms with it, how do we get them to begin to think in a different direction? And let me put this in context. Getting them to think the excuses that they will make in terms of the infrastructures that they lack, to cope with maybe the new forms of learning, online, digital, and all of that, or, the platforms that they're already on, that is not giving them the kind of skills, information, and knowledge that they think that they require. What's your response, and what have you found out, within your own space of work along these two lines? While I allow others, to begin to think about their own questions, I can see one or two questions already dropping, but let's see how. Let me get your reaction to this too. Mmanti, can you hear me? Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah. So in quickly answering that question, I want to first quickly say that I think that the way we were educated as young people is a challenge that we first need to deal with. As people, which means that we were educated to work in industries, which means take this instruction, work with this instruction, wait till the next instruction comes. Or we're given machinery, which means is either you put left, those light bulb switches, is either left or right. To think of a time when the light bulb switch is not available, and you'd either think of connecting the wires. We did that, connected the wires, and then the fans came on or the lights came on. Is a tedious task for the way our education center has raised us. In order for us to bridge that gap, the first thing we will need to do is to even understand what it is that the challenge of learning is. If our people need to unlearn the way they were taught to take instructions, they need to start learning to become active respondents of situations that happen to them. So everybody will keep the gutters in front of your house tidy. Oh, have you seen? The government hasn't cleared the rubbish. Wow. The rubbish that the government brought and put inside your dustbin, right? Oh, have you seen? The government hasn't paid NEPA bills. You're not paying your taxes and you're expecting for so much things to be done. Or have you seen the government? Or have you seen the government? Now, until we all take our response, until we all take until we all take responsibility that the reality that we seek will come from each and every one of us becoming partakers of the results we want to get, we cannot change the reality that we seek. That's the first
Okay.
thing. So
Okay.
young people need to reevaluate their conversation. Our conversation should no longer be what can people do for us. It's what can I do to move myself from point A to point B. That is the reality young people need to deal with, that nobody is going to move them from where they are, that they have to move themselves and they have to change the trajectory of their lives. Number two, no platform is, if I'm, please remind me if I'm not answering rightly, was that question, what platforms can we engage with, or platforms are not helping our engagement? Please, can you come again with the second part of that, your question?
Okay, so the second part of the question addresses the fact that uh, get them to learn certain things and all of that.
Hello?
Did you get my explanation?
No, I did not get your explanation. The network went completely bad. Can you take that question again if you don't mind?
Okay, all right. So I said, considering, okay, we've addressed the fact that, the challenge of people trying to learn and, get on new ways and all of that. And now I'm saying that already they're used to certain platforms that either
Okay, so I don't
lack
know.
of infrastructures or lack of the platforms that they can begin doing things and all of that. And then either these platforms, for one reason, is available on the people efficient.
Okay,
Mmanti,
yes,
hello,
so
Mmanti.
this is
Yeah,
the,
go
this is
ahead.
the, please can we drive a little faster? So because the network here is really bad. So I will ask apologies for a third time that you repeat. I'm trying to leave where I am at so that the network gets better for me to hear you. You were asking that young people are interactive with platforms. What were you asking about their infrastructure?
Okay, so I said that there are existing platforms that already young people may probably are used to,
Good.
and that have already created certain kind of mindsets for them. Now we're trying to get them to rethink their ways, get into a new way of thinking and all of that. Now, either because of lack of access to certain key infrastructures, take for instance, maybe data, internet, online platforms, and all of these things. Because like you rightly identified, to a large extent, because of the former way of thinking, the first thing that comes to their mind is how to
Yeah,
survive, how to
exactly.
survive, how to survive,
Yeah.
how to survive, So how can we get platforms to, on a large scale, sufficiently make them understand that we are here, and then you can trust us to, within a particular point in time, get you transformed from point B to point
Okay,
A.
so you see, the issue of trust is individual. The issue of trust is individual, because if it is that you realize that you have tried other means and they haven't worked, then your next thing is to, what can I do differently? The next thing is, what things can I do differently? And so the question is, what is the individual looking for? Let me address this matter of need. A need is only a need to the extent with which the person wants something or desires a thing. We cannot define what that need is. You see, if people feel that their heads are going to, they are going to drown, they are going to, you know that thing they say about a dying man. You know that thing they say about a dying man trying to hold on to anything.
Anything you see.
Until the young people that have a need recognize what the difference between what a need is and a want is, you cannot help them come from point A to point B. Let's get that clearly first. When we get that off the table, number two is, until the extent with which they realize that they have a need, you cannot create a change for them.
All right.
So there must be an understanding of a need before they even look for a way to help. And that is why they believe that a stick, which they see from a distance of drowning, which may actually be a log that will help get them out of whatever issues they are in, is actually a log. I don't know if you understand my narrative. So
I get you.
Trusting organizations like Bridge or whatever organizations that they need to take them from where they are to where they're supposed to be is dependent on what their needs are. Is dependent. And then number two, I don't make excuses when people say they don't have. That is not an excuse for me. It's not an excuse, because I realize that everybody will want to breathe. If you realize that this one thing is the thing that is the limitation between who you want to be and who you are, people will try their best to get what is the limitation out of the way. If you're comfortable with what your limitation is, there's very little people will help you. For example, can I see on this call how many of us have applied for the COVID-19 grant?
Yeah.
How many of us have applied for the COVID-19 grant to run our businesses? How many of us have applied?
You can do that by show of hands, or you drop a chat.
Sorry, excuse me, please. I just want.
Okay, I hope you got the question that Mmanti asked. If you have attempted applying for the COVID-19 grant, you can identify by a show of hands, or you can just drop a comment in the chat you did.
Nobody has, because I haven't seen anything. Now, I don't understand. Everybody, I tried applying but requested, let me hear.
Okay, Cherish, do you want to talk to us about that?
So let me try and start responding to this questions. You said, can we have a video on? Okay, kindly drop. Okay, how do I attract students? Because I intend opening a place for home lessons. How? You think of how. If your how doesn't work, then people can contribute. What is your first idea? Who is Cherish Nwankwo? I'd like to know what. Can you unmute Cherish Nwankwo? Let the person share with us what the person's first attempt is to get students.
Cherish, go ahead and speak. You can unmute your mic.
All right. I went for a place. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. I paid for a particular place and I intended to open home lesson. Okay. But I don't know how to just go about it. So how many teachers do I need? I intended to run this lesson for nursery classes. That's been a problem on my mind. I have a registered organization, which I did with it, but I'm thinking of using the name to start up that home lesson.
Okay, so Cherish, let me ask you, what are the ages of the people you want to reach?
Probably from 3 years or 2 to 10.
So you said probably. I have a problem with you answering me with probably. Probably is you're not even sure of the kind of people you want to reach. That's the first thing. So I'm going to give you a very practical analysis as I would on a situation board where I had people bring these real issues to me. I'm not going to try to pet you around this. When you say probably, you don't even have a clue about it. Number two, you're not thinking through your process. The government has closed down schools. The government doesn't want to bring children together. Why exactly would I pay you to bring my children together with other children to either transfer the COVID virus or to send it out? So that method that you're approaching is not going to be able to yield you the results you are seeking. What you want is people to be able to pay you for a lesson. What you're doing will not provide that payment. What people need right now is for them to be able to get people come to the comfort of their homes, and then you charge them premium. If I'm coming to your home to teach, this is how much it is that I'm going to charge. If I'm sending you teachers, this is how much I'm going to take from your monies, and this is how much it is that I'm going to take to advertise and to market you to a family that needs. So when you say 2 to 3, I'm not sure 3, that means you may not be sure you go to 10. That practically you have not thought through your process. You need to go back, sit down, think through your process. When you think through your process, the children you need are everywhere. Just yesterday, I was brokering between the teachers I need. I had to pick a premium teacher from another family and place him in this other family because this family was able to afford what it is that the person needed. So Cherish, please go back, do your homework, sit down, think of how it is that online schooling works. Think of how it is that you can provide that online schooling from the comfort of your home. Have I answered you? Antonio Offa, concerning your briefing on basic needs, you talk about online courses one can register with an online university with 0 charges. Sorry, excuse me, I'll just mute.
Okay, so if your questions is such that you will need to explain it, you can just let us know so that we give you approval to unmute your mic, and speak into the call. All right, if you think your question is not something you just want to drop in one-line statement, you can let us know and we'll. Need you go ahead to unmute your mic. All right, Mmanti, do we have you back? Hello, Mmanti. Can you hear me, Mmanti?
Yes, I can hear you. I wasn't able to log in. So concerning your briefing on basic needs, you talk about online courses one can register with online university with 0 charges. Can you please kindly provide the university name by direct link? Thank you. Please, who is Antonio Offa?
Anthony, identify yourself.
Hi, Anthony. I don't think he's still on the call. I tried applying. Okay, Cherry says she's tried applying for COVID-19, and it asks for a registered organization. Okay, somebody's microphone is on. She said I tried applying, but it requested for a registered organization. So Cherish, I know that COVID-19 grant allows you to apply with or without having a registered organization. And then when your fundings come through, they use your fundings and directly register you through CAC. So I think you should review the application, and then I would introduce you to someone that can also help you through your applications, if that is okay by you. So you could just send me an email and I'll introduce you to somebody that will help you through that. Mukeme once said, so Antonia, I can see you on my screen. You said I should give you a list of the university names. That's me doing too much work for you. Go to Google. This is what I can do for you. Go to Google. Look for the courses you want to learn and look for free courses, free online courses. Go through the schedule that you see. Try each one of them and follow through and find the university you're comfortable with. When you're comfortable with a university, leave that place, go and check their reviews. What are people saying about learning with this, online learning with this university? There's Udemy, they are different. There's Khan University. There's this other Nextport that has come up right now. Go there, check for yourself, read about it. The same way you people go to WhatsApp and look at WhatsApp stories. This thing, if your future depends on you getting a course that you can do at €0, then start today to behave like that future depends on it. Go there, check, find the opportunities, find the options that you need, and then send me an email. There I can send Bridge Leadership Foundation an email. They can copy me in your responses, and then I'll send you more results. But I need to see that you have tried first, because the challenge is that when people do the work for you, it doesn't help you. When you do the work, you won't forget how the work was done.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
I think I have exhausted the questions.
I have Victor Ian raising his hands and
yes, please,
Richmond
Victor Ian.
Yeah, Victor, if you're still with us, you can go ahead. Victor Ian, if you're with us, you can unmute your mic and go ahead with your question or contribution. What of Richmond? Richmond, do we still have you here on this call? Cherish, you're asking if I can send an email, please. Okay, no, that won't be a problem.
No, so you don't need my email. What you need is to apply.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
So what I will do with you is to, Mr. Ntifreke, as soon as this call is done, I'm going to send you a contact of someone that offers all most of the information that one would need to be able to apply for it. Then the person can basically guide her through. But then my email is just my first name and my last name at gmail.com. My first name and my last name at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Mmanti Umoh at gmail.com.
Thank you for being that generous. Okay. All right.
But if you can't reach me, you should still, I think you should still mail through and copy Bridge, because if I don't get to view those mails, they can ensure that I follow through. I think that's the best way to come through for me. So I'm expecting Antonio Fa owes me an assignment. He says he's going to go and check for online courses and find them and then share with us. Then we can move from there. Ms. Ndifreke, can I beg you to leave? Have I exhausted or helped extensively?
Okay, so just before you leave, let me just throw in this last question. If there are no other questions. All right, so I know you get to work with a lot of group young people, whether they are teens or and you have platforms where it's easy for them to collaborate and do stuff. I think if there's any time we need that such collaboration more, it's now. So do you have any advice or suggestions on how you think we can increase the skills that the other person may be lacking or skills that the other person may be lacking to come up with solutions that are defining in this moment. Can you just quickly speak to that in a minute?
I'm sorry, can you come again with that question? I just dropped off my kids.
Okay, so I said, I know you work with a lot of platforms
Yes, I
where
heard that.
where young people collaborate and all of that. So is it possible, can you speak to the issue of, increasing this need for collaboration for us to actually come up with defining solutions, particularly so that we can make up for one or two lapses on either in terms of skills, in terms of resources, or in terms of, networks, and, come up with solutions that are really sustainable and can really meet the needs of our community.
Can you call me? Okay, so the first thing I have found very bothersome is the fact that the African would rather collaborate with the, and I'm not racist in making this statement, it's the fact that the African would rather collaborate with the British, the American, or international organizations. However, there's a strange problem we have as people with partnership, and it is something we need to look at. Am I willing? Yes. Is he here? Am I willing? Yes. Can I create? Okay, let's just go. Then he joins us. Is he here? Sorry, excuse me, please. Is he here? Where are you headed? So let's drop you up there. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Am I willing to partner? Yes. The question should be, why are we afraid of partnership? Because in partnership and collaboration, we can conquer much more. We can get more funding. We can create more opportunities. We can create more economic development than we will. Maybe what we need to start looking at is, why doesn't Bridge Leadership Foundation want to collaborate with Teen Nation? What are their fears? Maybe we need to start speaking to the fears that people have in being able to address what their needs are. So this is what I am saying. Maybe for us to start this, we need to even start somewhere. If that's not the question, then number 2 will be, Bridge Leadership Foundation is right now collaborating with Teen Nation. What is the third organization that wants to collaborate with us? I think that people can use this call or this opportunity to be able to say if they would like to collaborate with these 2 foundations, and then we increase our numbers. So Teen Nation would like to collaborate with Bridge Leadership Foundation. Is Bridge Leadership Foundation to do that? I guess the answer will be yes. Now, who else wants to join us? Let us start there. And while we do that, let us begin to understand what other people's fears are and what their needs are, so we can create the changes they need.
Okay. Hello?
I'm here, please.
Okay, you're there. All right. Are you done?
Yes. Yes, I am done. I responded. I said that we need to find what it is that is the reason people don't want to collaborate. When we figure out what that is, then let us start with the organizations that are willing to collaborate. My organization is willing to collaborate. Yours is. Is there anybody that wants to collaborate with us? Come to the table and let's start from there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you so very much, Mmanti. I understand that. I know you gave us 1 hour and you have another appointment right about now.
Yes, please,
so
sir.
we don't want to keep you longer than necessary. We appreciate your time. And it's my hope that what you've shared, we're going to go back, take them, sleep on them, and put them into action. So thank you very much. We can allow you join your
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me. And thank you, Bridge Leadership Foundation, for the good work you're doing. Before my battery goes out, I'll just quickly say that I appreciate the work you do in community, in the economy development, and in developing young people their minds and the value systems they have to give them the results they need. I am open to collaborating, share knowledge across border. We can partner and we can develop the common good of our people. So thank you very much. And from all the community stakeholders, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mmanti. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.